Hello, and welcome. Carol Obara here. Welcome to my YouTube channel. And today I will talk a little bit about generic remote concept in Cubase and why I think this is one of the most underestimated concepts in Cubase. Why is it helpful and what we can do with it? Just an introduction, because I think this topic is so huge. You can do so much with it. That putting everything in one short video is impossible. But I've got a few questions about this topic, and like I said, I'm using it every day, and I'm also setting up systems for other people who are maybe not so familiar with this concept or don't have the time to do it, but really using this whole concept will speed up your workflow immensely. And I think this is an eye-opener. It was for me a few years ago, and once you dig into this whole concept, I think you will be amazed how many things you can do with it, and how your whole composing, producing, whatever you do, the whole process will be much quicker and much more fun. So we are all familiar with something like key commands, right? Copy, paste, Control C and Control V. We all know that. What we do is basically we are using our computer keyboard, and by pressing few buttons here or combinations like Control and C or Control and V, we are triggering a particular action on our computer, or in particular application like copy and paste. Okay, similar things are possible using generic remote, with this only difference that we are not to trigger these functions, to trigger these different behaviors. We are not using key commands. This another chapter in Cubase. We have great list of key commands we can use there, but for this we are using MIDI messages. Okay, so that's why they are called remote, generic remote, because we are using some remote devices, hardware controllers, which are outside of Cubase. They sitting on our desk, or maybe are in other room, or maybe we are using an iPad or iPhone or whatever tablet we have, and the wireless network, or Midi over LAN, whatever is capable of sending MIDI. It's capable of triggering all these things in Cubase, and what exactly I will show you in a sec. But first, let's go and see this beautiful picture. What you see here are basically different controllers, a whole bunch of them, and they have one thing in common. They all create MIDI messages, different MIDI messages. Some of them are able to create a lot of different things, some not that many, but like I said, all of them are creating MIDI messages by, for example, pressing the keys on the MIDI keyboard, or by driving these sliders or these knobs, or by touching the surface here, or by banging on this pads, or this X and Y place here on this Korg Nano, or by touching this tablet here and changing the parameters here. Whatever you do, whatever controller you have, and right now we are in this day and age where we have so many options, starting with MIDI keyboards, going to some weird controllers like this Beams, or using your tablets or iPads or whatever. All these gadgets are able to create MIDI informations, and we are able to use those MIDI commands to do other things in Cubase. So to open the remote device window, we have to go to devices first, And on the bottom we have device setup, and there is remote devices tab, or this remote devices folder on the left side. There we have pre-configured list of different controls like VST quick controls or track quick controls or the Mackie. These are already on board, or something totally generic which you have to map or assign all these parameters by yourself. Okay. One important thing to understand to understand the whole concept is one generic remote setting, and by setting I will refer to the whole window here. So one remote setting per MIDI input and output is possible. So which means if I have one controller, one particular hardware controller, which is maybe connected to this port number 1, can be used to do these different things I will show in a second. But maybe I will have 2 controllers, right? Maybe you will have in your studio you have a MIDI controller which is on the desk in front of you or next to you, and maybe you will have another MIDI capable controller like for example your iPad or another hardware controller, whatever. You can't use both. Here for the second one you have to create another generic remote, and that's pretty cool. We can just by clicking this plus button go to this list and choose another generic remote because I need another one. Okay, and you see this is generic remote number 2, basically another hardware or software unit which I can use to trigger certain functions. Okay, so the first and the most important connection here is just to connect it to this particular MIDI instrument here. Of course your list will different from my list because these are all my installed MIDI instruments here, MIDI controllers I should say. So your list will look different, but whatever you already have on your list, whatever is in your system and can be seen here, you can use to trigger this. Since I'm using RME UFX sound card, which has 2 inputs and 2 MIDI outputs, I can use this port number 2, for example, on this one, and on this generic remote I have to apply. I can use my keyboard, which is connected to this port number 1. Okay. So that's all you have to set up here in the input and output, basically. And now I see this as 2 parts. On the upper side here, on this upper part of this window, you have to set up which controllers, which buttons, which sliders, which whatever you have on your controller you will be using. So you have to tell Cubase which are gonna be triggered, pressed or moved. And in the lower part of this window you have to map these buttons to certain functions. So we will say, okay, I will press this button, and by pressing this button I will call this particular behavior in Cubase, and we will go there in a second. So stay with me on this. There are columns here, and another thing which is important to understand in this whole concept is what's to see in this column, especially in this lower column here, depends on what's chosen in the column before. Let's say in this device column I have command. Then in this channel and category column I have a certain other functions or certain other options to choose from. Okay, and this list is pretty huge, and let's say I will use this one, add track, Then on the other column, I have value and action. I have corresponding to these tracks, or to this add track option, different kinds of tracks I can choose from. Okay, so whatever I will see in this list depends on what is chosen before, because maybe instead of adding tracks I will choose analyze. Then on this list, value action, there will be pretty short list, because for analyze I have only 2 options to choose from. I hope this is clear, because this is very important. And again, too bad that Cubase don't have a PDF file or whatever list of all these functions available for us. There isn't really anything we can take a look and see, okay, like adding new audio track will be under command add track. Okay, we don't have it. So that's why people don't know what's hidden here, because you have to choose things first. For example, okay, mixer, right? What's under there? Under this mixer, I have to go there and look. Okay, these options are there in the mixer. I can go into a PDF file and read what's available. I have to go and explore the whole thing by myself. Maybe one aspect why this is done like this, or maybe why we don't have this PDF with all the options there, is because it's also dependent on what's in your session. So the whole thing is pretty flexible, and depending on what's in your session, what kind of tracks you have opened, and what plugins you're using, what VST instruments you're using. And you may see this is a blank session. Actually, nothing happens here. It's just for these purposes today. I have few MIDI tracks. I have an instrument track with Groove Agent SE on this, and I have few audio tracks, and again an instrument track or something. So that's why when I go, for example, to under device, I go to mixer, and on this list I see all these tracks basically, and if these tracks will name differently or will be different kind tracks, I will see them here. So maybe that's why we don't have this PDF file, okay? Because it will be hard to describe everything. You have to maybe see this by yourself. Good, let's go back. First, I have to tell Cubase what I'm gonna use here, what I will press on my MIDI keyboard in that case. So I will use the learn function, and while I'm highlighting this first option here, I will press my C3 on my keyboard, and you'll see note on and note off. When I press my key, I see note on is activated. When I release my key, of course my keyboard is sending the note off message to Cubase. I will press the button and hold it, and you see I'm sending on MIDI channel 1, and I'm sending the note number 48, which happens to be C3 in the musical language, but for all the MIDI capable machines, it just means this is the note number 48. That's it. The max value and the flags are things we're gonna tackle later. Not everything now, it will be too much. Then I can go to the next option here and press another button, and this will be the D3. Okay, so button number 50. Then I will go to another option here and press another one. So right now I have already assigned these 3 keys on my keyboard, C, D, and E, to do something. Right now I don't know what those buttons will do, or by pressing this button what will happen. I just told Cubase, listen to these 3 notes, I will do something with them. Okay, they will be triggering something, and what they will do we have to set up in this bottom part of this window. One thing to mention, which is important, is that in this column control name, we can change the name and write basically whatever we like, whatever we wish. So let's say I will call it 01. Okay, this is, or I will call it sorry, I will call it C. This is something I will call D, and this I will call E. You know, I can always go and change it just for now, so not everything will be named Fader 1. Okay, and another problem with Cubase, and this is like a bug or feature, I don't know how to call it, from already version 4, I think, or something. Why once I've changed the name in this column, these changes aren't really updated in the lower column, which is sometimes really confusing. Not now when we have like 10 different positions here, but when you have like 300 of them and you don't see what you've changed, it can be really confusing. So to see these changes in name, you have to press on this particular position here. So I've clicked on it, and that's why I see, oh, it's C actually, not Fader 1, but the other guys are still Fader 1. So I have to click on the next one and on the next one. The fourth one isn't changed, so there will be Fader 1 all the time. Okay, so now I have my device column, and here I will be able to choose from different options we have here. And please dig deeper, go through every position here and see what changes in every column, and you will see, oh my god, almost everything is possible here. So let's go to commands, and from the other window I would say, for example, add track. Okay, and which kind of track? Let's add an audio track. Okay, then my key, my D3 note, I will go to command and add track, and this, by pressing this key, I will add another track, but this time it's gonna be a Midi track. Okay, and node E, again go to command and get to add track. Node E will create, let's say, a video track. Okay, and I have to apply and click OK. If all your routings there, like the MIDI input and output, is done properly, we should be able to use our first generic remotes here. So when I press my C2, and I'm pressing C2 now, you see automatically I'm adding a new audio track. So Cubase is asking me how many tracks, and maybe I will browse from track preset from this window. I don't want to create new track now, so I will cancel this, but just for test I will also press the next note, the D, and I'm pressing this right now, and you see I'm adding a MIDI track. Okay, again the same options here, and for the sake I will also add a video track, and you see it's not asking me anything because there is nothing to ask. It just added a video track to my session. And in the nutshell, this is exactly what these generic remotes are doing. I can assign a certain behavior, a certain function to a certain MIDI key from my keyboard, for example, or it could be also a slider. This could be control change, whatever. When you go to these different columns, you will see that you have different options there. Not only note on or note off, but also controller change, program change, aftertouch, so on and so forth. It all depends on what controller you have and what MIDI what kind of messages is your MIDI controller sending. There are some simple ones which are only basically sending controller changes and Midi note and off messages. There are others which sends much more stuff. So like I said, everything can be set up here in this window. And one more thing I will talk about here today, because I don't want to take it too long, is this option here. This is like pages, so we can have one controller using this 3 different buttons, but we can trigger different things depending which page we have open here. And you can see when I change this, I'm changing also this window where I see only these names, this control names are constant. Everything changes when I go to other page. And we can add more pages. We can have more of them, more than just 4. I can also delete some. Like for example, the last one I don't need, so I will press delete, and I see on this list I will only have 3. And since I don't like these names, VST1 to 16, I will have to rename this to, for example, page 1. And now I see page 1 here. I will rename the second one to page 2, and the third one to page 3. Okay, so why I do this? Because I can navigate also using generic remote commands. I can navigate through these pages. So let's say I have one controller. Right now, I just, for the sake of this video, I've just have 3 keys I've pressed and assigned. I can delete the other guys I don't need, so it looks better here. But on the page 1, I will create few new tracks by pressing these keys. Maybe on page 2, I will instead of adding new tracks, maybe let's say I will analyze something, right? I will analyze select a track, or by pressing the D, I will be processing something, for example with gain. Okay, and by pressing E, I will again do something different. For example, I will zoom. Go back, zoom. And I will zoom full. You see, I'm just doing it on the fly, totally random here, just to show you the options. So on the page 1, by pressing the C, D, or E, I will create new tracks. I will add new tracks. When I have page 2, by pressing the same buttons, I will do different things. Okay, same goes for page 3. And like I said, I can also navigate through these pages on my keyboards. What I have to do is, for example, go to page 1. Let's add few more buttons. Let's exactly 3 buttons. So 1, 2, 3. I will call this button, let's say, F sharp. This one gonna be G sharp, and this one gonna be A sharp. Okay. And now I don't have to, but I will use the learn function. So this will be 54. This one gonna be 56, and the A sharp is 58. Okay, so this F sharp, G sharp, and A sharp I'll also create it here. So like I said, I have to click to see the names, and from my command, first I have to choose command on all of them, and from my command I will go down there to remote on all 3, since I want to create a command which will remotely change these pages here. So on the remote of the first one, when I go to value and action column, I see my pages, right? Page 1. This goes to page 2, and the A sharp will take me to page 3. As you may see, I also have just the increment, bank up and bank down. If I like to have just 2 buttons going up and down, I like to have 3 buttons to go to a particular page. And now, when I apply and I press these buttons, right now, since I'm on page 1, when I press F sharp, nothing will happen. Okay, but by pressing G sharp, look what happens. Bang! I'm taken to page number 2. Okay, now I'm on page number 2, but you see these commands are not there because I haven't put them there. These are only on page 1. So what I will have to do is I will have to take this same settings from page 1 and put them to page 2. And again, too bad there is no copy paste function here, which will really ease up the whole process. It's not there, sorry. Steinberg, please add this function. It will be awesome. But okay, we can live with it without this for now. So I will have one device, and with these few notes, in that case, I already have 6 different keys I can choose from. I will be able to add tracks to do different things. But how complicated or how complex this whole thing could be, you can imagine, hopefully, or I can show it to you if you want. I think this is very, very, very cool concept, very, very misunderstood concept. A lot of people even don't know that these things exist, but they have so many controllers on their tables, and these are just, collecting dust instead of speed up the process. So that's it for now. If you need more on this, just let me know. I will be more than happy to dig in, since I really love this generic remote world in Cubase. And for now, that's it, and see you next time. Bye.